Okay, it is Wednesday, March 16. 16?
Yeah, we got through the
And it is, this is Senate Reapportionment Committee. And it is 7:30 in the morning for those of you who are watching this later. So we're hopefully beginning to wind down here a little bit and come to some, Mike or Tom, do you know, I'm just curious if the House has actually passed it out of the House yet, or if it's on their agenda? I think you watched pretty closely, Tom.
It's on the House action calendar for this afternoon for second reading.
Okay. Yep. Great. And I will tell you all that the wonderful Senator Colomar has agreed to report this on the floor when we are ready. And
he gets a big gold star.
And he has a suggestion, and I'm going to before we do it, you know how when Jane does that we have a caucus of the whole first, so that it can all be explained and people can get their questions and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it seems to make sense. If someone still has heartache about something, we can at least explain how we came to that conclusion.
And that lets us help you in a way too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the six of you should chime in quickly, and then once we gavel in, it should be read it and vote on it and be done, instead of long protracted. Yeah, but I don't like this guy over there.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good suggestion. So thank you so much.
Sure.
And since Brian reported out the other one, he's already kind of laid the groundwork about how the process works and everything, although nobody will remember. All right, so should we get going? Do we have any new and improved and different?
You want to start at the bottom where we have question marks and see if those are out of the way?
You can do that. I have some chitin and thinking.
Okay. You want a
place to start
from talking to my folks.
Okay.
You want to do that? What's your pleasure?
Committee?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that.
You have copies, Chris?
I don't have paper copies. Do you have this one? Yeah, the one that Tom. I started just calling him informally Tom, because if you call it the Chittenden map, then it gets super confusing. So,
and I always have to laugh at
yes.
lieutenant governors when they're trying to call on Senator Benning or Senator Benning.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Exactly.
Wow.
Oh, look at that. Perfect. So, we're live and everything.
Yes, where are we?
I don't need one. Do you have one?
Yes.
Share.
This one.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that is it. You have it. Okay, so I don't know. Does anyone need one? I'll take a copy because I can mark on mine.
Okay.
I'll get it.
So, thank you, Thomas. So the Chittenden delegation met with me, and I love those guys, but it was frustrating.
No fire marks.
Yeah, no, it was a Zoom meeting. So there seems to be a split, sort of different hopes. I have become more and more convinced that it's important to find a way to split. It's not have Burlington be a standalone district. I just think, you end up having two senators who are from one town, very urban, already kind of a unique dynamic in the state that, what's the Burlington's a cute town next to Vermont, right? So isolating two people it bothers me, and it's interesting, in the 6 of us, 2 of us live in Burlington, and Senator Rom Hinsdale has lived until recently in Burlington. All 3 of us were very insistent on that. All 3 of us who have that experience said, you gotta split it up. The rest of them who never lived in Burlington, as far as I know, said, what's the big deal? So it was interesting. So the rest of them were very interested in, particularly South Burlington has been very vocal that they want to be kept whole. Now it's not clear on the map because of the lake is part of that, to the west of Burlington there is blue, and it would have you believe that's land. That's water. The geography of Burlington is such that it is to the south and to the east entirely surrounded by South Burlington.
Yep.
So I came out of the meeting with my colleagues and they said, fine, split Burlington and leave South Burlington together. That's very limiting because there's only one connection, and that is through Winooski. That's the only way. Through Winooski.
Okay.
So that means you've got to link through Winooski. And the other complication there is most of the population of Burlington is in the northern part of the city, north of Pearl Street. If you're familiar where the hospital is, that's where I happen to live. And so there's only one house district that connects to Winooski. So you can't divide Burlington very neatly if you're not also able to slice through South Burlington in different ways. Okay, so this is where actually I had conceived Tom Chittenden, to his credit, the Chittenden map from Chittenden is what you're looking at here. And what this is northern Burlington connected to Winooski, a little sliver of Colchester in order to connect to Essex. That is the 40th and Allen slice of Colchester. We've looked at this in many.
Just like
Yeah,
Route 15.
our map.
Route 15, yes. That creates a perfect and then the junction part, what will soon by charter become the city of Essex. So that's effectively 4 members, House members out of Essex, 2 from Winooski, a little piece of Colchester, and 9 House seats in Burlington. So it's a bit Burlington heavy, but it's so hard to. Again, you're pinched by this. If you want to have both goals, split Burlington and not split South Burlington, this is as good a map as I've seen. And it handles, it is a compromise. It's not my dream map, but it is something the delegation can look at. Now it's a 3-seat member to Senator Brock's, it's a 3-seat district. Maybe we like that, maybe we don't. We're going now from 6 effectively to two 3s, and then the northern district. In the south, in blue, you have the very south end of Burlington, all of South Burlington, Shelburne, Charlotte, Heinsberg, Williston, Jericho, Richmond, Bolton, Jericho, and Underhill. And Underhill has been bothering me, in that Starfish, we've divided it, and the Underhill Jericho is a house, that's 2-seater house seat. It's very late. Those 2 feel like they're not suburban at all. They are rural Chittenden, and they feel very late. So I'm really pleased. I had kind of given up, to be honest, and Tom, to his credit, found a way to bring them back. Now the deviation's a little bit high, but overall I think the map can handle that. So that's a 3-seater. There, in case you're keeping score, are 3 incumbents in there. Do we care? I'm not sure what that is in
No,
fact.
we're not.
I'm not gonna pay any attention to that right now.
So that's, I think, an acceptable compromise in terms of where the Chittenden folks are coming from. It also has something that I've been chewing on for Senator Brock and Senator Collmore, which is frankly an offer of compromise in this northern district likely is a pretty decent, more conservative district. I've been thinking.
The light green one.
The light green one. This is now the Starfish, but it's a single seat. It's I don't know what we would call it now.
It's an arrow now.
It's an anchor, a sideways anchor.
It's a B for victory.
It is Milton, Westford, the rural House seat in Essex, and Fairfax. It's a nice, the numbers work. There's actually some continuity there in terms of the community to some degree. And those poor folks in Milton are pretty conservative, and they rarely vote for the 6 of us, and they get all 6 of us. So I've been sort of interested in that myself, and I would say that what I would hope is that it can be a compromise that is something we could offer, or I could be part of offering to you, and hope that maybe it allows us to have a compromise in Orange, because we keep batting around towns in the Orange district.
So if I can ask Chris, are those people that could be in that single member district all in the town? Because there is quite a distinction between what's now the village and what will be the city and the town. So are those the municipalities?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is what we would think of as the urban part of
Right,
Essex.
and the rural part then goes to the northern district, and it's probably more aligned
Yeah.
with Milton and Fairfax and all that.
Well, and it's sort of honoring the boundaries they've just voted for. I mean, it's not perfect because the House districts don't perfectly do it. I'll be clear with you, but I think it's important from an election administrator's point of view to if we're dividing things, to go with House districts, so they don't have to have, oh, you're in this House district, but that side of the street, so you're in this Senate, you know, to the extent we can simplify.
Yeah, there's still gonna be some of that, but I understand.
Yeah, this is to minimize that. Yes, so it's actually interesting. So we know, we've looked at the square that is Essex.
Yep.
The gray part here is 4 of their House, 5 House members that go in that square. So it gives you an idea of how the population is
Yes,
concentrated.
pretty dense.
That's what I think of as the junction, basically.
About to
And
be, maybe.
the city.
The city,
Yeah.
but that's
Your other counterparts are satisfied the way this is.
Yeah, this says, this is a map that I'm proud, yes.
His
They're
eyes are
happy.
smiling.
They're pleased with this. I think this is
Well, freshmen
decent.
always smart.
The folks who are in Essex Junction think about being in the Senate district solely with Burlington and Winooski.
Yeah, if you know, the 4 people that would notice in that sense, I don't think it's great for them. If I were them, but it's gonna be, it's, the people probably that mostly care would be the folks that are in the more rural part, right? They're gonna be like, what the hell, I got nothing to do with Burlington, I'm this tree farm, whatever. So it's not perfect. It's, and it's hard to carve this county up. And so it's not perfect.
Yeah,
But
by
it's
the
a
way,
3-seat,
I'm
remember, it's a
thinking-
3-seat district, and in that sense, you could imagine that somebody comes from Essex. I mean, I don't think that's hard to conceive.
I guess that's one of the questions is, would people in Essex who are moving into this district of Burlington think that they have any chance of being elected as one of those 3 people? Or are they going to be overwhelmed?
So this is among this is not a perfect map.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'd send you to beat up on my 5 colleagues if we want a closer to perfect map. It's hard. It is very hard, as we're all experiencing, to satisfy all the players. This is pretty decent. I think.
And by the way, I noticed that I thought about it after we talked yesterday about that sliver of Colchester that has to be added in. And we had avoided in the map that we did, we avoided splitting towns. That's one of the major principles that we started out with. And then I said to myself, well, wait a minute. The only way that you connect Essex to Burlington and Winooski is you got to take part of Colchester to do it. Well, who says you have to? Well, why is
geography?
there? Well, no, but what I'm saying is if you had two pieces of a Senate district that were not contiguous, who says you can't do that? It's just that we've never done it.
I think
No,
it's
I think you can't, no,
Hello?
Churnick, that's Churnick.
oh, sorry.
Michael, are you trying to say something to us?
No, I think.
Actually, if I may, Madam Chair, for the record,
Okay.
I didn't realize my sound was on. I apologize, but as long as it's on, I think you would have constitutional issues if you had two pieces of a Senate district that were not geographically unified.
Okay.
Just to think about that very carefully, to be continuity and compactness issues. I'm turning my sound off.
Thanks, Michael. So I know that we've talked about 3-member districts and maybe moving away from them and not creating new ones, but
We got three.
well, if we're moving from 6, we're moving from 6 down to 3 perhaps. And my suspicion is that in 10 years, we will be redoing this whole northern part of the map again. Because then you have the capability of moving from 3 to 2 or 1. But in 10 years, this is all gonna be shifted. Again,
Well, it
unless
is.
Bobby does his magic and gets people to move up to
The kingdom.
the kingdom.
Well, it's either it's going to shift and we're going to move away from this, or we're going to have 1 or 2 more 3-member districts.
Right.
Which is, because that's what we said when we got to this, that we weren't going to do that.
Madam Chair.
But to make it really work decent and smooth, I mean, we've got 3-member districts.
Yeah, we do.
Rutland,
Yeah.
Adams, Windsor,
Yes.
you know,
And I just want to say something about that question you had, Randy, about the, how would a very rural crowd be, or how would the urban area feel about being represented by other, you had an urban rural question, and it jogged in my brain. All 3 of us in the Windsor district at the moment, not, are from much smaller towns. No one lives in Springfield or Hartford, which are the 2 population centers.
But I think those
So
are fundamentally different than Burlington. Burlington is an urban area, and a densely populated urban area.
I agree.
When I think of Burlington, I don't think of Springfield or Hartford or
But
White River Junction or whatever.
you may not, but those are
Yeah.
those you would think would be the dominating
Yeah.
factors in a county. And I could very much see senators coming from other populations.
well, it'd be nice to be able to put a check mark there.
Yeah.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
so,
And, yeah. And we're concerned about dividing towns, and I actually think I agree with Chris's logic on this map, but we are all willing to divide Burlington. And yet we all want to keep these county towns whole. So but I actually, as I have said a number of times in this committee, one of the pluses of becoming a senator, and one of the big differences from the House is that regionality, is being able to think both urban, rural, income, a diversity of income, a diversity of all sorts of diversities. And I think that is one of the real richnesses of being a senator, is having that perspective, a much broader perspective. And so to that end, I really support the division of Burlington, just so that it helps, even though you have huge economic disparity, obviously.
can I ask a question here? This is not, this map is not posted to the website.
Oh,
Should Mike post it to the website?
yeah, I think so. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Well, that'll go with you, Tom.
I just
Yes.
wanted to make sure that before.
And again, it's obviously not final because we have
Yeah, of
more
course.
discussion on that and on several other points that we.
Yeah, there's another section that.
Yeah.
which has a
Yeah, no, we're gonna yes.
Yeah, I'm
No,
concerned about the
It's-
size of the deviation.
So
I
I think when I saw this map, I'm not sure why EO is over in this one, but we were not,
Linda, that's why.
we're not, these towns involved in Chittenden is sort of what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because it's not, we can make moves that fix it all up.
So we good to go with that then?
Well, I think there are a bunch of things to chat about, but it should be posted if we're talking about.
Yeah, I think.
Yes, yes,
Close it down.
we will, but I think Bobby's question is, I have a red X on my Wyndham, Bennington, Rutland, Addison. Can I put a red X on Chittenden? Meaning, we're done,
I'll go.
unless something, yes.
Well, the only thing I wondered about is, I know there was some talk about Alberg
Yeah,
and Franklin, and I think what you do with Alberg affects like Colchester, so.
Well, it does.
That's the
Yeah.
only part. Among the things that, you know, we've
yeah,
been
well,
talking
yeah,
about.
maybe. Isn't that maybe?
Shit.
The ships come in up the Winooski.
The
That
Vermont
big ship.
submarine.
Okay.
Okay. Among the things we've been talking about Alberg, is one, the numbers for the Chittenden Grand Isle district, you know, are obviously affected by that slice of Colchester that's been moved.
Yeah,
Alberg, in the last iteration that we did, was moved to Franklin,
Mhm.
and Fletcher was moved to Lamoille.
in your old map, in your last map.
Yeah, on the last
Yes,
map.
Yep.
At Fletcher, in many ways, I know I've been talking with Ricky about the fact that he's got a lot of folks that, you know, the orientation in a lot of cases of Fletcher is more towards Cambridge, people who work at the mountain and so on, living there, more of an orientation there than to St. Albans, and I think that's possible. Alberg, on the other hand, is often closely aligned to Franklin County because we've got the bridge there that connects the two. If Fletcher were moved into Lamoille, Lamoille's deviation would actually be helped and would become closer to zero. If Alberg moved into Franklin, the numbers are slightly higher, but Franklin is low to begin with. So that again would probably align it better. We got to run the numbers and make absolutely sure what that looks like. And I think I'd like to do that, you know, after our meeting today, but that's just a minor deviation.
What do you think happens, Randy, to the Grand Isle one? It's at 3% now.
It's a plus 3%, and
So
you take,
that might actually even, well,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You take the 2,100, it's not gonna, the deviation is not gonna, it may go
Still
minus, but it's
acceptable.
not gonna be that much.
So it would be my suggestion that we could consider sort of whether or not to put a check mark on Chittenden
Okay.
separately. And Sam Perchlik's right, obviously, they all inter dominoes, but in our EO discussion, which is proving to be one of our last standouts, we've got the Richford Montgomery debate.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that and Alberg and Fletcher strikes me as several of the variables that might end up
Well,
moving.
Bobby and I talked very briefly about it last night when I got this map from Tom, and one of the things we talked about was maybe if Richford went to Franklin, that would lower the negative deviation in Franklin, and it would also serve as a minus of that 9%.
Yeah.
In Essex or Leeds, so that might be one option. I don't think we should move both towns, I think Montgomery with Essex or Leeds.
Well, and that's assuming, of course, that we keep this huge district huge and not do two separate ones, which would lower both of them. I have it also, before you put your red check marks on things, Madam Chair, I also, depending on our, where we end up with orange, I would argue that if we're going to take Thetford, we do not need Pittsfield. And I would argue it would be great to keep one. You know, I feel strongly about counties. I would argue that it would be great to keep Rutland whole as a county and give Pittsfield on the Brock map. Pittsfield is back in Rutland. That makes it the only whole county, which I kind of love the fact that we still have one county that is.
It would be totally whole if that.
It would be totally whole because they got Mount Holly back. And I loved getting to know Mount Holly, quite frankly. I give it back to you with reluctance there, Palmore. It's a wonderful group of people and I've really enjoyed that. And, but I would, seeing the Brock map made me realize that we don't need those numbers if we're going to take Thetford, and I think it would be great to Rutland whole.
Okay, I just, I didn't realize we jumped down there. I thought we were still on
Well,
Franklin Memorial.
There is a discussion
likes to
about Orange with, the rest that have Chittenden flows.
I'm ambivalent. I hope people in Pittsfield don't take offense to that, but, I certainly love representing the 508 people or 504 people that are there, but I thought we'd already sort of said, because you made, I felt, Allison, a very good argument about the school system and the continuity between Rochester and Bethel, Stockbridge and Pittsfield, and I at one point grudgingly agreed with you, but if,
Yeah.
and so that's fine, I'll be glad
So
to.
let's look at it
That's not
as
a
we
big
play.
It
But
is.
it would mean it's not that many people, so it would mean lowering you, and if with
Yeah.
Bedford, it would be,
No, it'll bring Rutland back to
Probably
5.81, I think,
Okay.
from
Was
the
it
659.
exactly.
Okay.
So that's possible. I mean, the other thing, obviously, that I'm
Okay.
concerned about is.
So we're gonna
Nick is
move.
online, I think.
Yes.
Oh, Nick,
Can we,
Because-
can I put this in?
Yeah.
Who's?
Well, I don't care.
Oh,
I should get my.
You wanna see people without video?
That's okay.
No.
Hi, Nick, we see you now, it's nice that you're there.
I have to do that. So,
Thanks, Senator Clarkson. Glad to be here. I know that Mike just posted the map online. I'm happy to do live view at any point.
Okay, so what are we asking Nick to do here?
Well, I'd be interested in the northwest piece, to see if we move Alberg and Fairfax, or rather Fletcher,
Yeah,
just to take a look at numbers, strictly
Yeah.
numbers.
What would happen if we moved Fletcher from Franklin to Lamoille?
so
And if
we
we
asked you
moved
to pull up
Albert-
the Tom Chittenden's map?
yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
pull
And
up
we move
the,
Alberg to Franklin.
Are we not signing off, but basically that Chittenden construct seems workable?
And I think it seems workable. If we, if we get over the notion of 3-member districts, which,
Yeah.
I think a number of us still have a
Me
concern
included.
about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that,
we'll, in 10 years, my guess is they'll be lowered,
they can fix it.
help less 3-member and more 2 and
And there'll
1.
probably be 7 different people.
Yeah. Oh my God, in 10 years, well, I hope some of us are here in 10 years.
I hope so.
Nick, that's a different map.
Which one is that?
My apologies.
All right.
Do you have one that we're working off here, 315, authored by Tom Chittenden?
Yeah, I believe, I got that right here.
I think we're gonna have to not shave off that part of Colchester. If you move Alberg over,
Well,
Yeah, there is.
that 2,000.
basically just see how big the deviation is if we do that. It may be unworkable.
It's gonna be over.
Well, if it's under 9,
For a single member district, 1,500 people is 7%, so
Yeah.
Alberg at 2,000. And I think the Colchester part they slivered off was around
It
2,000.
was around 2,000, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we'll.
But do you need that slice of Colchester for the other part? You do need it.
Yeah.
You have got to make it, see that little skinny connection there. That's,
To make the connection, if the connection
Because
is,
there's
it's
a
a
river to the
constitutional issue and
south.
it's gotta be made, then, there's nothing we could do.
there is a part of Milton that belongs to the house districts in the islands already.
Right.
Yeah, the two
So-
people who represent the islands in the house
Live in
live in
Milton.
Milton, West Milton.
So you could take I don't know how many numbers it is, but if I was trying to help Randy, that would be one way to do it.
Oh, that house,
So
that 2-member house.
if you sort of
Yeah.
imagine shaving the western coast of Milton. off,
West
I think-
Milton.
I think you get about
Uh-huh.
1,000 people or something.
uh-huh.
That would parallel what they've done to the house map.
So Nick, are you able to move, on this map?
Yes, I am.
So if you take Alberg and move it back into Franklin, first of all, I just want to see what the numbers look like.
Right. And then take Fairfax and move it into Lamoille.
Certainly.
There's a funny little dip down there, doesn't a little tail.
Fairfax, you mean Fletcher?
I mean Fletcher, yes,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
don't take Fairfax.
No, Fletcher, I
don't think
mean.
Randy would like that.
think we should bring
Okay,
George.
we've got that into,
Frankly, I don't want to lose either one of them, but you know, the numbers I've got to.
and then Fletcher into Lamoille.
Yes. Grand Isle went nuts, -6. Yeah, that isn't terrible.
Yeah, it's better than.
It ends up being the highest at this point, but
Yeah,
Sorry,
but the
what's-
high is still Essex Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
yeah,
so-
no, I'm sorry, the lowest. It ends up being the
No,
lowest.
Okay.
no, Rutland.
No,
is-
Rutland's
No, Rutland's now back to 5.81.
But that's.
Oh, because we
yeah,
put
and that's
Pittsfield.
6.7.
Yeah,
That's
put
6.7,
Pittsfield back.
still lower.
Well,
But
Pitt-
it's still, it's workable. I mean,
So wait a minute, we also talked, Randy also talked about one of Richford or
yeah, yeah.
Montgomery.
I mean, that's a possibility, but then that's going to put Franklin over, but I'm not sure by how
Well,
much.
try Richford over, because EO needs to come down.
True. So take Richford to Franklin.
Or take them both and see what happens.
Don't want them both. That will say it'd be too great. That'd be too great.
So
I don't
first
think
Richford.
Al Perry would be
Oh,
happy.
that's not bad.
Good, Brian.
Go fish.
That's not terrible.
I can't see the number on EL.
355.
Oh, oh,
And what are you,
and
three?
Franklin.
Yeah, that helps.
Three
Yeah,
eight.
so that evens it out for Franklin and Essex Orleans.
385.
Yeah.
Grand Isle Chittenden is now the low worker on the map.
At what, 6, 7?
6, 7.
Yeah.
Fine with me. Okay,
Well,
so,
that's still 6 and
So
7,
what was
13.
the discussion about taking some of Milton, the House District part of
Yeah.
Milton?
You don't have to if you're okay with it,
Oh,
6, 7.
yeah, I prefer not carving up a town.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's carving
Well, the House
towns.
District does.
Oh, well,
It is, there is a,
You're still gonna win.
Doesn't the House District still do that?
yeah.
The House District still does that.
So they, just so we're clear on Milton, I don't care very much, but the western bank of Milton belongs to the islands in the house, as we've said.
Yeah.
So you have town clerks in Milton right now figuring out which house district you're in and which senate district you're in, and we could
Match.
match that up in a way that wouldn't be bad for Grand Isle Chittenden number, but it doesn't, I can also live with 6, 7, 7, I think.
because what would it do to just the
6,
southeast?
7, 7, and 7, 6, 5. is what?
Yeah, so
13, 14.3, 14.4.
Yeah, 14.4, that's still much better than a house deviation.
Sure is.
Mhm,
Well, we can,
okay. So we can look at that Milton.
If you zoom in, Nick, or you can do an overlay of those house districts, right?
Not at the moment, but I can estimate, if you give me a few minutes, how many people could be captured if we took the House District. I'll just have to stop, I'll just have to stop the screen share.
It's a little
Okay.
darker green, is that
That's the
significant?
ocean.
is
I mean,
that the
that's the
house
ocean, yeah,
district?
That's the house, that's the.
No, that's the lake.
that's the water. The
That's
water
light green.
underlay.
Yeah.
Light green is land, where it gets a little darker on the left is
Is-
the lake.
The river.
Then
Got
lake, and then island.
So
I see, got it.
on the house, in the House District, how far into Milton does that go?
Not very far.
Is it, what about where the river is?
It's
down
not,
there?
it's, yeah, you see Nick just drew,
Yeah,
crew.
It's west of there. I'm going to send Mike the PDF map of that Milton district, and I'm going to stop the screen share so I can pull that up and estimate how many folks are in that area, if that's okay by the committee.
Mhm. All right, so while he's doing that, should we? I don't know how long it's.
Looks like.
Because that will bring the
That's
deviation
just
down.
doing the
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, that's-
Right here,
that's
yeah,
right.
that's,
I think,
so,
I think that looks, good. Mazda's gonna be happy, you guys are happy.
The incumbents were trying to play.
Well, I'll ask you a different way.
well,
But, I mean, that district's been like that for years,
For a
right?
long time.
Albert House District.
Yeah, when did
Yeah,
Albert
I don't know
come?
when that happened.
Valberg was just last time, I feel like.
It may-
Albert
it
is
may have
only
been.
10
I don't
years,
know.
right?
I think.
It's just the first time, I think we noticed it because this is the first time that the islands are represented by two reps, both of whom will live in West Milton. We never noticed that before.
No, my question was, how long has Albert been in your Franklin district? I think this was just 10 years.
I think.
Yeah.
I think it's 10 years.
And there is a natural connection.
Well, the connection is there's a bridge.
Well,
Uh,
as much,
And, yeah, they're both very rural, they're rural communities, West Swanton and.
Well, I think, to me, the county boundary is
Yeah.
at least as influential as whether or not there's a bridge that connects them.
Yeah, the county.
It's all-
Yeah, no, I'm.
all right, so,
Tom has his hand.
oh, I'm sorry, Tom?
Sure. Alberg has been kind of a swing town. It's been in the Franklin district and it's been out of it and it's been back in it again. So there's precedent for them going in either direction, just at least historically.
Kind of like Brandon.
Yeah.
And speaking of Brandon, by the way, I have my 1796 map of the Vermont counties. And Brandon was in Addison County in the 1790s.
Yeah.
So
All
Rutland,
right, well, back it goes to Addison County, yeah.
That would.
No, it's Rutland County.
No, I know. I'm sorry.
How many towns are split right now as far as Senate districts?
Senate district.
Do you have any idea?
Very few, I think.
And we're-
Our population is challenging this
I
sound.
think only up in the,
I don't think we have any town, only Burlington.
You mean in the map? we're
I
looking
can't
at?
remember.
you
No,
right
currently.
now,
current.
Oh, I have the current now. I don't think,
I don't think we have any.
I don't think there's any. There are some,
That's what I'm thinking.
like Huntington, Beals Gore, some of those border ones are split in the sense of those guys have Addison County senators, Washington County House reps. So there's a few of those
Yeah.
sort of slightly tortured, because they're just on the
Yeah, well,
edges.
here though, we're taking towns, splitting them in some cases in which different senators are representing different parts of the town, and I'm just wondering, is that a precedent?
Well, how do you break, we're also not to have a six, can't have anything bigger than three, so. it's-
Well, Burlington, I mean, I can understand Burlington just based on the situation, but
But I think that's the only one that we're
what we're doing with Colchester,
already, and that's never a culture.
and now we're talking about doing with Milton.
No,
We don't have to do it.
We
We don't have to do it.
it will
I'm
bring,
trying to help you out.
No, I understand. Yeah.
well, let's not do Milton then. And then we have Burlington and Colchester.
I'm okay with it. I would go with the higher deviation than take that part of Milton.
Okay, yes,
if we're just, we're having to balance and,
Yeah.
a shift in population and county lines and equity of numbers. And I think it's just worth looking at, just if we can bring our deviation down, which it would, if we can do that. I think it's just worth looking at as an exercise to see if Nick can pull that to see how it aligns with the House district. And in some ways, those are very useful partnerships, as every one of us knows who works with our invaluable House partners. That's useful to have some alignment with House districts if possible. And
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that right now with Albert, for example.
yeah.
The reps who represent Albert live in West Milton, in fact, they're not even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're already in there.
The House
So they
district
live in the-
represents all
Oh,
of the
right, the
islands.
House district represents the whole.
Correct. And West Milton, whereas
But-
Senate district is different.
But the Grand Isle Chittenden district does not have Albert. Yeah,
Correct.
no,
It does not.
there are little
Yeah.
exceptions all over.
And I think that, going with House, districts is nice if possible, but,
Yeah, but
we all work with, House members who work with different senators in different
Absolutely.
counties, and I don't think that.
That doesn't bother me,
So-
Nick has his hand up, sorry, maybe.
Nick, are you ready?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I am. So looking into it, the total population of the area of Milton contained in the House's proposed Grand Isle Chittenden district is 1,382 residents of Milton. All of them are west of I-89. And that area, and yeah, that's the gross number right there.
It would bring the Chittenden North, it would bring it under by about what, 2 or 3%.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did you say, Andy? It was 7% for every 1,500?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might even be like a
Yeah,
plus
the
one.
labels are messed up too on this stuff.
so,
Well, it's probably not, it sounds like people are not eager to make that more perfect and we could live with the Grand Isle. I mean,
Yeah.
should we go look at Caledonia at this point
I
or?
was just gonna suggest
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The whole,
Yeah.
I think taking a sliver of Milton is pretty obvious that
Yeah,
what we're doing there, and I'm uncomfortable.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
like
you know, just
chocolate town,
trying
you know.
to look at all options.
Yeah, I prefer not to split towns.
Okay,
So my question now would be, for the folks that have voiced some concern from Caledonia earlier, I think this week we had some folks that did.
Mhm.
Does the current Senator Chittenden map address that successfully? It seems like it does.
I think so, and it brought it, it had been at 12%.
You leave the light is lovely, unless it, is it bothering everybody?
No,
Does it get bugging you, Andy?
no,
No.
I mean, unless I
Nice.
try to look at you, because I don't like to look at you anyway.
Yeah, it'd be hard looking at anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks, great. Good
All
morning.
right, let's move over to Caledonia.
So should we pull that?
Solve the sun issue. It seems like, again, with the exception, and I understand the concerns from folks in the Northeast Kingdom about Linden. But absent that, I think this map represents a pretty good single-member district for Caledonia.
Well, I think moving Hardwick and Walden over.
Yeah.
Was the right, yeah.
a Real good idea. Moving
Yeah.
Linden North was a real bummer.
Well,
Well, it's done.
the folks that are there, the folks that are there are just gonna have to make friends with new people.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, so the old,
Lots
yeah.
of people, 5,000 people.
yeah, yeah. So you get a bunch of new people there. So
I wear people out quick enough, so it's good to get.
I don't get new people, but you get, yeah.
And
So-
remind me of what the deviation is for Essex Orleans with the moving of Richford over. It was something like 36 something.
We just had that,
I think it was 5 something.
we just had that on Nick's map.
I think it was
To get
3.
it back.
Oh, was it 3 to the back? Oh, okay.
Wasn't bad.
Yeah, I was surprised at how big a difference it made.
Okay.
That's a
So-
conservative district.
So now let me ask the question
So I
here
think
about,
that's a good,
Well, yeah,
let me ask the question about whether we want to keep that as a humongous quarter of the state, 2-member district, or make it 2 1-member districts. Is there
I
any?
do have a map that splits it.
And the minority or whatever, the alternative LAB map had it.
But does it
As
split
a
it the way?
Single-member district. My preference, I think it's better as a 2-member district. The size of it
That's all right.
alone suggests a 2-member district to me rather than a single-member district.
That-
And
or vice versa.
I know, I was thinking of the reverse.
I think it works as a 2-member district now. Historically, it has been. And with a large area like.
That Linden 5,500 people has gotta be 2,500 voters or 3,000 voters. That's, and I don't know if you guys know how they vote, but I do.
So it's,
And that whole section,
I mean, you're adding,
So,
Did you say you had a map, Chris? Where you?
well, I think if you look at
it
the
depends on
alternative,
where you are.
you actually would be adding, if you add Linden, it's by far the biggest community in the district.
Bigger than
By far,
bigger
Newport
than
is only
different.
1,500, I'm surprised by that, but Troy is bigger than Newport, really.
Yeah, hard to believe.
So,
Yeah, I believe Little Troy sends a senator to Montpelier.
Well, you know the
Not just
reason-
any senator.
No, you know the reason they do it, is to
Yeah,
get you out of
because I
Troy.
had those freaking strikes from the time I
No.
was 18 till I was
Here we go.
30.
It's to get you out of Troy. That's-
We, yeah,
Oh, that's a low blow. It would,
I mean, that is a big, I hadn't thought of it that way, is of like, you know, we talked about it when you're adding Stowe to Washington, you're suddenly adding a new center that, you know, it just really does change the dynamic of a district. Here, you're with the Linden, and I agree, it does not work well for the numbers and the shape of Caledonia. But I don't know,
well, let's check Caledonia off at least and get rid of that, and then we'll fight over
Okay.
the
So if you look, I believe, at the alternate, LAD alternate plan, I believe that it exactly splits those two. Here, you have that one. It's this,
Nick could put it up.
it's a
One of our
black and white
old-
one.
Yeah, one of the first
And-
ones.
Yes, it says on the bottom, LAD alternate plan.
yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, black and white one, that we
It's a little harder to see.
Madam Chair, the alternate map puts Walcott into Orleans, and in the new map.
Okay, forget that then, forget that one.
Well, it's a great,
I have,
It does move Walcott.
but that's the only one.
I have something that does it, that
Okay,
is built on that, but a little, if people want to look at that.
okay, would love
You
to,
wanna
yes.
see it? So it was, as we were brainstorming this, and that's a, we brought to, I'm sorry, that's the one, Nick could,
Oh, this
this
is,
doesn't deal with your Albert ship,
With that.
but,
Oh, yeah, without Walcott, but also.
So it creates a one member.
it creates the two, so just to look at what it could do with the updated Caledonia. I mean, the numbers work nicely. It's, I think you could even pull Montgomery in if you wanted it to this.
Yeah, into
if
Franklin.
that made Albert work.
put Montgomery over with us and leave Richford in Franklin, isn't gonna screw you up, right, Randy?
No.
And, anyway, so it is doable. It's doable, and it takes that Humongo district.
Well,
so is that, except for the Montgomery
Yeah,
one,
it's-
is
yeah,
that the
that's
same? That's, okay,
Yeah, because this one's sitting in all
Yeah,
that.
it's sort of like,
I mean,
I mean, I don't know how you do.
what that's gonna do is, it'll make the two senators from Essex, and we'll have to run off against each other, but it'll keep Joe's district or the Linden and that whole crew up through there. It's not bad running from Linden up north.
mhm,
There's, you go to Burke, and then there's a nice road right up to to Brighton.
Here.
yeah.
I didn't realize you could divide it up.
Chris, do you want to tell Nick what map you're talking?
Yeah, Nick, I think it was actually that first map you pulled up. It also has the Tom Chittenden solution.
I haven't talked.
It's dated 3/15, and the authors are Chittenden, Pearson, and Pershlick on the map.
So what?
have it right here.
One of the things that this does is now you have two one-member districts, and you have a major population center in each of them. You have Linden in the easternmost one, and you have Derby in
So-
the,
Derby and Newport over
Yeah.
on the left.
Could I just direct Nick to true this up with what we just did with Albert
I meant
and
Newport.
Fletcher? And did we move Fletcher in that?
Yeah, with Fletcher and Illinois.
Fletcher and Illinois.
Whatever Randy wants. And then, yeah, and then,
Because then you're basically trading Alberg and Fletcher and Frank for.
Yeah, they're
Or are we back over there?
no, we're just making this match what we've been talking about. in
Oh, I
order
see,
to-
okay, great.
Look at it.
And Montgomery was moved into,
Yeah.
I see what
Probably the Orleans district
Not
here.
that, not
I
that
think
guy.
it's gonna, it'll put it over.
It probably will put it over, so it's under
Montgomery's
about
pretty big.
3%.
Although it's under though,
Yeah.
so it won't be bad.
Should we bring Montgomery into Orleans?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gosh,
2.7,
wow.
I think that's our map.
3.8 for Franklin.
Well, why don't you choose what color we put it on the map?
Yeah, we'll have to look at.
Oh, you know, that is going to be the biggest thing in the pockets of the whole. I do not want my district to be green.
Yeah.
While we're just looking at.
You vote for all that green stuff. A lot of
What do you think? You were, Bobby, I know,
Yeah,
particularly interested in the two-member district. for Orleans.
Well, yeah, but this right here is a killer for a single member. I mean, it's a long freaking ways from Jay to Montgomery and down through and then up around and then you know, they're gonna require a lot of time. And I think that would retain Joe's district better. And it would certainly make my district much more manageable, or the Brown area, if it isn't me.
The Orleans.
Yeah, be a real Orleans and then a little bit of a hybrid.
It would be it's staying more to the county lines, well, at least better than the 3-county district. Oh, I guess EOC.
Well, and it was screwing everybody south up by having women go south. And I wasn't gonna vote for any map that did that, that screwed Jane up. Or that
Calendar
issue.
district,
That
right.
district, yeah.
Right, just-
Okay,
I mean, I do like this map.
I think this is more manageable.
Well, you take, you know, the dark blue or Essex County and London. It,
Brian,
Yeah,
you might have to make a phone call. Can you?
sure. Yeah.
that, it's still big, but it's one main hub.
Yeah.
And you know.
Well, it's something to consider.
Yeah, we can-
won't be able to
yeah.
sign off on it until we talk to
Yeah.
somebody else, but.
Yeah.
I mean, with all due respect, it's the only map that will affect a current configuration, if you will, that hasn't already taken that person out of the configuration by a prior decision.
Yeah.
I think everybody understands what I'm
No,
saying.
yeah,
Understood.
Okay, so I think to be fair, we need to.
Yeah.
We need to consult, but until we got to this point, I was
we're
on
getting close.
board.
No, I agree. I mean, look, if we're really down to effectively one decision,
Yeah.
I never quite thought we could get this far, so.
And we haven't talked about orange, but maybe that's because we don't need to anymore, I don't know. It looks like in both of these maps are the same, right? The Chittenden one
Yeah, I
and the
think so.
Chittenden Pure.
Yeah, we used to do.
So-
We've been consistent. Oh, look at your pink. It's so,
I
it's
love,
so
hey,
you.
Nick, do you see the color? Did you just kindly choose the color I'm wearing today to perfectly coordinate me?
Nick, say yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nick, I don't know if you heard our conversation about pulling Pittsfield back into Rutland to make it whole. Could we just see what, we know what that does with the numbers, but I just love to.
I don't know.
So,
It helps a little bit.
thanks. So,
Yeah.
It was almost equal, 5.8.
great,
Just save this sucker, would you, Nick?
yeah.
Save this sucker. We're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Sucker number 1.
Well, we can take it from here over. Well, there we go.
God, this is so great.
He's here.
Bathed in
Yeah, you were
sunlight.
worried about it.
He's right there.
Gross. This is a nice one.
Almost.
No, and that girl is a new chicker.
Oh, okay. Could we just make that?
Then it was dirty.
Right.
Thanks, Nick.
Nick, can you do colors for the two different Chittenden districts or the three, we have
Yeah.
that, because that would help if we had two different colors, maybe another pink up in.
Or just also helpful if the towns were different font. They're hard to read when you print it out. Some of them.
Everybody's a critic. You
No.
don't know where the towns are by now? Come on.
Well, no, just when I show it to other people.
That allows you to have extreme knowledge.
Okay,
So, all right, so
let's leave EO as a topic to be discussed. But
We go.
Orange, I think we can probably agree with Senator Brock's affirmation here. We've moved Thetford, but we've left Orange in Washington. And I'm comfortable with that now.
Green Street and Addison, which.
Yeah, I wish we could do something.
I know, I do too.
what's our,
It's like its own country.
Nick, what's our total deviation on this guy?
Let me take a look.
14.4 still, or 14.39.
Way better than the Helms.
Yeah.
What was the house?
16 something.
16,
Hard,
6,
those
5.
tiny little districts.
16.65.
Now I have a better appreciation for
Oh,
the
man.
special hell. There you go.
So total, it's 14.42.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's under 15. I think our goal was.
Not only that, they have to deal with every DCA in the state.
Well, we did too, a little bit.
No, we don't.
Theory.
No, we
Oh,
All right.
heard from.
Well, so is this what we're percolating on then?
I think so.
Well,
I don't-
every.
Percolating. Well, we got it all.
What, we're percolating till Friday or?
Good question, Ann. Are we gonna meet again Friday if we can?
I know,
We gotta vote.
the only question is when we would meet on Friday.
I,
I've got
Please, Lord, no,
7:45
it's- how about an 8?
so, could we meet at 8 o'clock on Friday?
They have caucus.
Oh, no, you have.
We got a 7:30
You keep
caucus.
having to change it
We blew it up last week.
Well,
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've got a breakfast appointment, I can change it.
What's tomorrow?
I don't get hurt.
you have a smartphone?
She had.
I'm gonna text
No, it's
you.
not smart. It's not smart. It doesn't do anything.
We're not talking about the opera.
Who cannot meet tomorrow at early in the morning?
I'd like to suggest that we don't need to meet until we have an understanding of what, you know, in theory, there's a couple options and it could be a quick meeting.
It all
But we
depends on
need
who
to,
you
we need
want.
to vote this week,
We
right?
did, yes, we have to vote this week.
Friday at lunch.
Well, then we're on the
No,
floor.
We're on the floor.
What time are we
Yeah.
supposed to be
On
on
the floor forever.
Yeah, you're right.
We're on the floor at 10 on
I'd like to
Friday.
get it
Yeah,
done.
tomorrow.
It'll go a few hours.
Push for
The calendar is so long.
So what is the problem with tomorrow?
I'm fine with
Tomorrow,
tomorrow.
Randy,
What time in the morning meeting?
7:30.
8 o'clock
It'd
even.
be 8?
8 o'clock tomorrow. I mean, I guess, let me just
Good, we have to
make sure I don't have.
Can we what?
Is that enough time to percolate and have people talk to people?
Well, that's the thing I'm thinking of, is just the
Well,
percolation.
There's a balance between enough time to percolate and too much time
What
to.
about more towards the end of the day tomorrow?
They
We
bet.
run into problems and as you know,
The
because
two-
we're about to hit our
across
deadline
the
on Friday.
hall, we got a shut.
Sometimes kind of forcing that.
What about like
It's a-
1 o'clock tomorrow for a half an hour? We
We're on
would.
the
We just don't know when we're gonna get out the door, that's the problem.
I think our best bet's
Tomorrow.
tomorrow morning.
St. Patty's evening meeting.
That's,
That is not a recipe for you.
The green beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Randy did got here last night, till 7:30, 8
Yeah.
o'clock, met himself coming back this morning.
No,
I drove as far as Burlington and just turned around and came back.
So 8 AM tomorrow does not work?
You're telling me?
Well, it works, we just don't know if we have enough time to talk to everybody and have a productive meeting.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I was suggesting towards the end of the day tomorrow, it would be a better shot of talking to people and then having them percolate a bit rather than rushing it.
Yeah.
So could we,
We can do Friday morning, I guess.
Time is bad.
I don't want to blow that caucus on.
no, you don't want to. What time is your caucus on Fridays?
7:30,
7:30 till 9?
yeah, it's usually 8:45.
Still,
You guys, it must spend a lot of time talking, there are only 7.
Well, I mean, we're going through the bills and so on that are coming up on the floor.
That's true.
One of the reasons.
I know,
Those are
I was trying to be funny, Randy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you-
It's hard,
are you
it's hard to
fixing
tell with the
nine?
mask.
Okay.
Well, let's be honest, it's a singular issue that we're talking
Yeah.
about, I think.
yeah.
Effective.
I mean, I'm fine with the rest of it.
The issue is the Essex Orleans
Yes.
Yeah.
split. Okay,
If we can't come to an agreement and stridently want to have that as a 2-member district still, is that going to be a breaking point?
Well,
That's a
it
good
might
question.
be for a
That's the
unanimous,
percolation.
but not for a majority.
Well, I can tell you, it won't take long to percolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the percolate
Yeah.
is rather obvious, but, you know, I mean, then the thing is that this is a compromise map.
Mhm.
And
And the compromise one didn't include the division of the, I mean,
Well,
up
I
until
mean-
now, we've been talking about that
This
as a
is,
2-member
you know,
district.
kind of new today in terms of the discussion.
Yeah.
Of the seriousness of doing this. Which is why I don't want to
It
rush
was
it.
a good 2-member district until the big
Put
dogs
a new
got
center in
moved
that.
in from the south.
I understand, and I don't see any way around that. You're,
well, there's the way around it.
Well, yeah, but you can't do anything here and you can't do anything here. The only thing you can do is here.
Yeah,
and
in that big town, I mean, it's Joe's, the upper half of Joe's district's what that is.
well, okay, but it's not Joe's anymore anyway.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Joe's gone. So,
And the only way you do it is you move something from Caledonia, and the question would be what
yeah.
And then it gets.
and where?
No, you gotta move a boatload. I mean,
You gotta
that's-
move a
that's
fair
the
amount of
problem.
I mean, Newberry maybe here and bring that in, but
Then
As a
Orange
single
is-
member
And
district.
Orange is out of
then
whack,
you
and
start,
then you move something from Orange down into Windsor.
okay, so the only question really remaining is Essex Orleans Caledonia 1 2-member or 2 1-member?
I think that is. the
That
issue.
is the.
Yeah, that's the issue.
The question.
Or 3.
So-
1, 2, 2.
Well,
1, 2.
well, no, I'm
Yeah,
not counting
yeah.
those, I'm just counting those 2 upper,
Mhm.
the Essex Orleans and the Essex Orleans Caledonia district. I'm not looking at Caledonia. I thought I thought the only thing we're talking about here is the brown and the purple.
Right.
Yes.
So,
I was happy with that as a single member, but that Linden getting pushed north.
Well, stop talking about Linden. We're done.
They can't do anything about it.
No, we're done with Linden, we're done with Stowe, we're done with Braintree, we're done with Pittsfield.
I guess what I would,
So I think that
yeah,
we just need to figure out a time that, let's look at this, okay, we have today, this is Wednesday. Then there's Thursday morning, that isn't enough time.
We ought to
what about
get.
1 o'clock tomorrow? Could we
1
find a half
o'clock
an hour?
Thursday,
Is the floor on or?
Well, it's on
Floor
at
is
10.
on.
it's 10, we should.
That would be 3 hours.
10? I thought it was at 11 on.
Huh?
I thought,
I think it's at 10 in the
10
usual
tomorrow?
order.
Yeah, it's at 10.
okay, so it's
So let's try 1 o'clock
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
okay.
Here?
And it-
No, I don't think so, because I think finance
no,
will be
finance will
wanting
be
to
there at
be
1:30.
here. I'll find a room. That's big enough
I
for
think we
us.
could meet in our room if you're.
The question is, our room big enough?
Because we have a limit of 10 on our room.
Let me suggest one of the lounges upstairs in the
Yeah.
house. There's two,
Economic development would work.
there's 2 house rooms.
We'll find a room.
Okay, yeah.
Take time right now.
41 would work.
So I would just say, I personally see no reason to move Fletcher. into Lamoille. I see no good reason to move Alberg into Franklin. And I'm totally willing to do that in the spirit of getting to yes. And so, I just throw it out there
Yeah.
that there are things I like, there are things I don't
Yeah.
like, and that's the process, unfortunately, for everybody.
No, agree.
Yeah, we're all in not a good.
We're all in a compromised spot, except happily, and this is, I'm happy about this, Rutland is at least told. Can we get copies of this, or has somebody already asked for it?
Yeah.
No, we haven't. That's a good question.
Nick,
Printed,
would you be kind enough to print out copies, and if pages need things to do, give the pages these to deliver to
Yep.
each of us?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then Brian, you and I can find out room for, we'll work with Mike. to
Yeah.
find a room.
But, you talk about cost.
I was going to go have breakfast.
Sorry, I cut it.
Yeah. we have a little wiggle room on 9, so I
Yeah,
can.
Rogers is coming.
Oh,
9.
heavens.
Oh,
Miss that.
You don't
Actually, I
actually-
do have to miss it. I'm asked to be in the house.
And I'm on the house at
to
9:20.
testify on,
Those are most people take
Sorry,
precedence
we're off.
over me.
Are we off?
No, I asked.
Yes, we're